All right, guys, more combining like terms today. We are going to be on page 155. So let's see how to use properties correctly to write equivalent expressions. The I can statement. I am aware that some common pitfalls when writing equivalent expressions, and I can avoid them, and when possible, I can write an equivalent expression that has fewer terms. So select all the statements that are true. Be prepared to explain your reasoning. So 4 minus 2 times 3 plus 7. Okay, well, the parentheses tell me I'm going to use the distributive property. So it changes nothing to this part right here. So 4 stays the same. Then we have minus 2 times 3, which we have right there, and minus 2 times 7, which we have right there. So that one works. Okay. Okay, this number 2, 4, so 4, and then plus negative 2 times 3 plus negative 2 times 7. That one would also work because there's still a minus in front of the 2. Even though they turned it into an addition problem, it's still the same. Okay, number 3, the minus has to stay with the 2 there. It does not stay with the 2 there, so number 3 doesn't work. And then number 4 still has the minus sign here, and it goes 2 times 3 plus 2 times 7. So it does multiply the 2, and it does still keep the minus sign there, so that one will work as well. All right? So let's get into the stuff, the good stuff. All right, turn the page. Page 156. Some students are trying to rewrite an expression with fewer terms that is equivalent to 8 minus 3 times the quantity of 4 minus 9x. Noah says, I worked the problem from left to right and ended up with 25 minus 45x. So Noah, we have to get rid of the parentheses first, and Noah does this, 8 minus 3 and got 5. That is not correct. You have to go that and that first. So Noah's wrong. Lynn said, I started inside the parentheses and ended up with 23x. Does the 4 have an x? No, the 4 doesn't have an x, so we cannot combine those. All right, Jada says, I used the distributor property and ended up with 27x minus 4. So far, she seems to be on the right track. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 9 is 27. So we have 8 minus 12. And then we distribute the negative. So they both have a negative in front. So that one looks correct. All right, Andre says, I also used the distributive property, but I ended up with negative 4 minus 27x. So if you look here, negative 3 times 4 is negative 12, but we have a negative here and we have a negative here, which will turn into a positive. Okay, cross the line, change the sign. So that one doesn't work either. So Jada was the only one that was correct. Do you agree with any of them? Yeah, Jada. For each strategy that you disagree with, find and describe the error. So we talked about those as we went through them. All right. 21.3. Diego was taking a math quiz. There was a question on the quiz that had the expression 8x minus 9 minus 12x plus 5. Diego's teacher told the class that there was a typo and the expression was supposed to have one set of parentheses in it. Where could you put the parentheses in 8x minus 9 minus 12x plus 5 to make a new expression that is still equivalent to the original expression? Well, you could put parentheses around the whole thing, go like that. You could put parentheses right there. You could put parentheses right. That might be it. Oh, you could put parentheses there and here. Okay. Where could you put parentheses to make an expression that's not equivalent? So anywhere there's a minus, you could put parentheses in there. So you could put parentheses there. You could put parentheses here. You could put parentheses. Nope, not right there. So yeah, in the back. All right. That's it. That's the lesson for today. Pretty short one. So the summary. Combining like terms allows us to write expressions more simply with fewer terms, but it can sometimes be tricky with long expressions, parentheses, and negatives. It is helpful to think about some common errors that we can be aware of and try to avoid. 6x minus x is not equivalent to 6. So when we subtract it, think about x-rays. 6 x-rays minus an x-ray wouldn't give me 6. 6 x-rays minus an x-ray would give me 5 x-rays. So it might be tempting to take subtracting x makes the x disappear. The expression is really saying take 1x away from 6x. And the distributive property tells us that 6x minus x is equivalent to 6 minus 1 times x. Okay? 7 minus 2x is not equivalent to 5x. The 7 doesn't have an x, so we can't combine them. So the expression 7x minus 2x tells us to double an unknown amount and subtract it from 7. This is not always the same as taking 5 copies of the unknown. And 7 minus 4 times the quantity of x plus 2 is not equivalent to 3 times x plus 2. The expression tells us to subtract 4 copies from the amount of 7, not take 7 minus 4 copies of the amount. So you got to get rid of the parentheses first before you can go subtract the 7. If we think about the meaning and properties of operations, when we take steps to rewrite expressions, we can be sure we are getting equivalent expressions that are not changing their value in the process. So number 1 on our assignment is actually not in the book. So number 1 on Canvas is going to be 4x minus 7 minus 15x plus 9. So you're just going to combine like terms. So 4x minus 15x minus 7 plus 9. Okay? And number 2 is number 3. Select all the expressions that are equivalent. So you're supposed to select all the expressions that are equivalent. Looking here, it's looking like all of them are equivalent. So there you go. All right, let me know if you have any questions.